Hey guys, Miss Dyer here. Hope you're having a great day. We're actually going to be starting content today. We're going to be starting Unit 1. Now, I am going to be asking you questions about our get to know you activities a little bit later on after I've had time to go through them and look at them. And uh, then I will give you ask you some questions about what you learned about each other. We're going to be starting with Unit 1 today. We call Unit 1 medical terminology, and that is because when we learn about anatomy and physiology, when we learn about medicine, let's say, and the human body, then it's like learning a different language. If you've had medical terminology at the ATC with Ms. McClure, then you kind of know a little bit about that. But there's lots of different terms that are used to refer to the parts of the body. And if you are not familiar with those, then it's really hard to learn anatomy and physiology. So we start out with the basics, just learning the vocabulary, the terms, the language that we're going to be using. And so that's what we're going to start out with today. And then I will kind of demonstrate to you something that you can use to help you learn the terms as well as your assignment for today. So basically, we're going to start out with what we call anatomical landmarks. These are terms that we use to communicate about the parts of the body, the actual parts of the human body. We're also going to be learning a little bit later this week about terms that we use for communicating directions on the body, as well as the position of the body. So, we're going to be learning lots of different terms for communicating about the human body this week. Again, the anatomical landmarks, first thing we need to understand is that we're going to be referring to anatomical position. Anatomical position, I'll explain to you what that is in just a minute, but a couple of other terms that you may have seen before and you need to be familiar with are supine and prone. Supine means that the body is lying face up. Prone means that the body is lying face down. Now, when we look at these, when we look at the actual position of the human body, the anatomical position, we're going to be considering the body standing up. But we know that if someone is unconscious, then they would not be standing up. They would probably be lying down. So if you hear that word supine, you know that is face up and prone is face down. An easy way to remember that is up is in this name, supine, right here, UP, up. So that's face up, prone is face down. Okay, let's talk a little bit about anatomical position. In this picture, this body is in anatomical position. When I ask you to describe anatomical position for me, there are three things I want you to tell me. The first thing I want you to tell me is that the arms are at the sides. The second thing I want you to tell me is that the palms are facing forward. Okay, the palms are not facing up. The palms are facing forward. And then the last thing I want you to tell me is that the feet and legs are together. So those are the three things. When I ask you to describe anatomical position for me, those are the three things I'm looking for. Arms at the sides, feet and legs together, palms facing forward. I don't care what order you give me those, but that is how we describe anatomical position. So all of the pictures that we will be looking at, the body that we will consider that body is in anatomical position. And so all the terms that we use, we remember anatomical position. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the anatomical landmarks. That we're going to be looking at the front side of the body, also called the anterior or ventral side. And then we're going to be looking at the back side of the body, also called the dorsal or posterior side. And we'll learn more about anterior, posterior, dorsal, ventral a little bit later this week. But again, the front and the back sides is what we're going to be looking at. There's a lot more on the front than there are on the back. Now, the first thing that we see when we look here are the bold words, and then we have another word after the bold word for the most part, and then we have a word in parentheses. Okay, the word in bold is what I call the term. Okay, that's the actual vocabulary word that we're trying to learn. The word in parentheses is another form of that vocabulary word or another form of that term. So frons is the term or the vocabulary word. Frontal is the adjective. Okay, that is another form of frons. And for the most part, these two, you can look at frons and tell where frontal came from. Okay, you can look at cranium and tell where cranial came from. And then the other word there that's between the adjective and the noun here, which is the term, is the definition of that term. So this is the term or the vocabulary word. This is the definition. So the definition for frons is forehead. So when I refer to my frons or my frontal area, I'm referring to my forehead. When I refer to my cranium or my cranial area, I refer to my skull. When I refer to my facies, which is the noun, or my facial area, that is the face. I'm referring to my face. So again, this is the term, this is the definition. This usually is the adjective form of this noun term here. So if we're going to use the word in parentheses, we're going to use the word area after it because that word is an adjective. So frontal area, cranial area, facial area, mental area, axillary area, okay? If I want to just say frons, that's all I have to say is frons, forehead. So again, I'm not going to read through all of these for you. I think some of these probably make sense. Okay, mamma. Okay, think of mama, breast. Umbilicus, like the umbilical cord of a baby, is at the navel. Is the navel. It's where your navel comes from. Femur. Okay, that's the bone right here. So that's your thigh. So I think that many of these probably make sense to you. You've probably heard them used somewhere before. You know, oral, which is the adjective form of the word oris, is referring to your mouth. You know, you have an oral rinse or an oral surgeon. Well, they work on your mouth. So a lot of these are terms that you have probably heard of before, but some of them will be new, like mentis or mental area is chin. Okay, so when we talk about the mental area, okay, we're not talking about your mind. Mental, as in mental area, is your chin. The pollex is your thumb. Okay, we don't have an adjective for that. The pollex is your thumb. We also have down here at the bottom, and you can't see it right now in this video, but it is on the PowerPoint that I have posted, pointing to the big toe or the great toe. That's the hallux. Okay, so hallux is the big toe. Again, there's not an adjective for that. Right here, abdomen or abdominal area. Notice there's not a definition here. Okay, that's going to be belly. That's referring to your belly region. Okay, another one that doesn't have a definition here, pelvis or pelvic area. That's referring to your hip. Another word for that is coxal. So this area right in here is really referred to the pelvic area. And then right here on the sides of that pelvic area, referred to as the coxal area or the hip or hip bone. But I kind of use those interchangeably. So pelvis or coxal area or pelvic area, it's going to be referring to your hip as far as I'm concerned. Okay, another one here we don't have a definition for, the pubis or pubic area. That is going to be your genital area, the genital area. I think those are the only ones on this slide that have that don't have the definition with them. So if we go ahead and there's another one that's not here. It's called a sternal, the sternum or the sternal area. It's not really, this is just calling it the chest, the thoracis or the thorax or thoracic area is the chest. So that's going to be this whole area here. Okay, but right here in the middle over your breastbone, that's called the sternum or sternal area, and that's referring to breastbone. Okay, we also have, and I don't think it's on the next slide either. No, it's not. Okay, so the fibula or fibular area is going to be kind of the side of your lower leg here. Fibula or fibular area is the side of your lower leg. There's a few that are not on here that I want you to know, and I'm trying to remember those. Okay, moving on. Well, now we're going to look at the posterior side or the back side of the body. Again, the acromial area is the shoulder. We don't have the a noun there, just the shoulder is the acromial area. Lumbus is going to be loin or lower back. So it's pointing here, but actually it's this whole area here. This is the lumbar area or the lumbus, and it is your lower back. Loin might not really make sense to you, but that's lower back. We also have here in the middle, now this is referring to the dorsum or dorsal area is your back, but right here down the middle, That is your it's called vertebra or vertebral area, and that's referring to your spine or your spinal column. So another word that we could use for right here in the middle is vertebral, the vertebral area. And then this whole part here is the dorsum or the back. We also have something, it's not labeled here. This area and this area is the scapula or scapular area, and that's referring to the shoulder blade. Okay, that's another one that's not on here. And I'm trying to think if there's any others that I'm missing. We talked about fibular, we talked about vertebral, we talked about sternum, we talked about fibular. I think those are the major ones. So again, most of them are on here. There's a few that I went over that are not on here that I still want you to know, and I've gone over those with you. So make sure that you make yourself a note of those. Okay, moving on. That's all we're going to look at for today. Now, the other thing I want to do is I'm going to be including this website. This website is really, it's just a little game for you to play to kind of practice this. And you'll see this picture again in your assignment for today. So all you have to do is when you go to this website is push play, and it's a little game. And of course, it's timing you, but it says occipital. Okay, that's another one that we didn't go over that you need to know. Occipital means back of the head. So if it looks like this one right here is pointing to the back of the head. So I'm going to click on that little blue dot, and I got it correct. It tells me I got it correct. Okay, cephalic. Okay, that's cephalon. It's referring to the head. So this whole area here is the head. So that's that one. So again, I got that one correct. Digital inferior. Okay, digits, those are your fingers and toes. Well, inferior means lower. Okay, so digital inferior is referring to my toes, not my fingers, because inferior means lower. So it's probably this one right here. I got it correct. So you can see if I get it correct, it turns green. Oral, remember oral or oris, the oral area or the oris is your mouth. So it looks like that one's pointing to the mouth. So I got that one correct. Otic, okay, otic is your ear. It's referring to your ear. And again, these are all on that PowerPoint. Pretty much most of them are. I got that one correct. Okay, abdominal. Let's just say that I think this one is abdominal because it kind of looks like it's pointing to abdominal. I clicked that and I didn't get it. So it's going to give me one more try. And I still didn't get it. All right. And sometimes it'll turn red, but it didn't that time. So look, but you can see here the pink tells me that that's the correct one. So what is that one? Well, notice that one's pointing to the belly button. Well, remember that is umbilical or the umbilicus. So there we go. So again, when you get done, you want to play it again. You can just push quit and then go out of it and then say again and then push play and start all over again. So I'm going to be including that website. I think that's a cool little game to practice. You are going to be having a quiz over these terms tomorrow, and it's going to be a timed quiz. So you won't have unlimited amount of time to look up the answers to these. You're going to need to know them before the quiz. And so it's very important that you probably practice this some. The other thing I wanted to show you is your assignment for today. Your assignment for today is what I call an interactive notebook. So there's actually 3 slides. The first slide that you're going to do is you're going to define anatomical position for me. So you're just going to click in that box and type your answers. Okay. The next one is, notice this picture, I hope looks familiar. What you're going to do is you're going to match the terms and definitions to the pictures. So for example, I see the word wrist there. So all you have to do is, if you can do it there, is try to click on that word, and you may have to move another one out of the way to click on it. But anyway, okay, there's wrist. Now what I want to do is have the little crosshairs, the little plus, and I see that this little blue dot here is pointing to the wrist. So I'm going to drag that word down there, wrist. Wait a minute, I didn't get the right one. And you may have to fool around with it a little bit. So wrist. Okay, so that goes with that little blue dot. Now, what is that word for wrist? Well, if I've studied these and I know them, maybe played my game enough, then I know that wrist is carpus. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for that word carpus or carpal. And I don't know which one I put on here. And notice there's a lot of words, so this may take you, there's carpus right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put carpus and wrist right there together for that blue dot, because that is, the term is carpus and the definition is wrist. So there we go. That little blue dot is the wrist, that's carpus. Okay, so wrist is carpus. So I'm putting the term and the definition there together. And I don't care if you put the the term first and then the definition like I did here, or if you put the definition first, wrist, and then carpets. Doesn't matter as long as you put them both there. And again, you may have to fool around this a little bit. You know, when you click on it, you may have to move some words out of the way to get to other words. So just move them out of the way. Now I can click on I. It looks like that one is pointing to I, so I'm going to put it right up here with that blue dot. And then the word for I is oculus or orbital. So I'm going to look for that word right there is oculus. So I'm going to have to move some of these others out of the way probably. So there's oculus. I'm going to move it up here with I. Uh-oh, I moved the wrong one. Now again, it's going to be easy to move the wrong one because there's so many of them. Sorry about that. So there we go, oculus. So I'm going to try to put it over there beside it if I can. There we go. And so now I've done that one. That's my next one that's done. The I, the word for it is oculus or orbital. The word that I put on here was orbital. So again, I hope that explains how I want you to do that. You're just dragging the words around. Okay, last thing you're going to do is you're going to read this paragraph. You're going to find the anatomical landmark terms, and you're going to replace them with the layman's terms. And I will go ahead and show you one. So today I got a haircut. As a beautician cut the hair on my cephalon. Well, if you remember, cephalon is one of our anatomical terms. You can go back and look at your PowerPoint and see that. Right here it is. Or you can look at this one because you should have it completed and it's probably on there as well. So my cephalon, I know cephalon is head. So all you need to do is click there and then get rid of cephalon and put head. So as the beautician cut the hair on my head, I thought about the cut on my hallux. Okay, well, hallux is another one of our terms. And if we go and look at that, hallux is our great toe or our big toe. So I'm going to get rid of hallux and put big toe. There we go. And then you're just going to continue to do that until you have replaced all of the anatomical terms in this paragraph with the layman's terms, which is basically the meaning, the definition of those terms. And if I'm correct, I think there's probably around 12 to 14 anatomical terms in this paragraph. So that is it for me. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be talking to you soon. Bye-bye.